And we are going. What is going on with everybody? It is your boy Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the Green Dungeon, giving it to you real raw rugged. And I have somebody on the other line. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, man. Who do we have here?
What's up, everyone? I'm Ayres. I'm a 23-year-old producer, songwriter, singer, musician. Yeah,
Oh,
that's pretty much it.
you're young, man.
Yeah,
You're young, man. You're young.
I try.
You sound older. Not like as in voice wise, but just like some of your music sounds something as like as of a wiser older person. So
Thank you, man. I think also the baldness is confusing to people. It makes me seem older and more sophisticated.
I didn't want to bring it up, but the baldness was definitely one thing where I was like, oh, you must be must be an older man. Do you get that
I
a
don't
lot?
blame you.
Do you get that a lot that people think
Um,
you're older?
yeah, I'd say so. Like, definitely, nobody thinks that I'm much older
Yeah.
than I am, but I get that older than 23. I turned 24 in about a month, so
Really?
you know, I'm getting up there.
I mean,
But yeah,
my
I do.
birthday's my birthday's in November too, so I'm assuming you're saying November's your birthday.
It's first week of December,
First,
December 6th.
close enough, close enough. Shout out
Yeah,
to your happy early birthday, man. Happy early
appreciate you, man.
birthday,
You
man.
too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I guess before we even get into this, you brought up before we start the interview that you're in New York right now, right?
Yeah,
So I actually just
yeah.
came from New York, and that's why we could have this interview earlier, but I was in New York. So first
Oh
time,
wow.
first time ever going there. Um, can't can't explain enough how disappointed I was, man. I was
Really?
disappointed, man.
Where were you
Disappointed.
at, if you don't mind me asking?
I was in Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know, you see New York on TV, you hear about it in songs, you see it.
Yep.
I just thought it was going to be this glamorous place. It looked sad, bro. Like, I got sad when I was there. I was like, bro, am I like in the middle of like 1950 Soviet Union time? Like, is Stalin gonna pop out? It looked so depressing, man. It was crazy.
So around this season, like this part of the year, it's definitely, I guess, a more depressing time to go rather than like summer in Manhattan. But I'm sorry to hear that, man. You gotta give it another chance. Come eat some more pizza or something.
I didn't
That'll
even get to
change
eat
your mind.
anything. I didn't even get to eat
Wow.
anything out there, so that was
That's your
another
first
thing.
problem right there. You should have been taking in the cuisine, bro.
Okay, so next time I come out there, where do I need to go to eat?
I mean, my personal favorite pizza joint is Joe's, but that's kind of a basic answer, honestly. They just make a good slice of pizza. I think you can't really go wrong anywhere. Sometimes, like, the joints where you get a dollar slice are the best.
Yeah.
Like, rather than, like, I'd rather go to, like, a hole-in-the-wall type of place than, like, a real restaurant, if you will. You know, I don't think you can miss on just about anything.
All right, well,
You
I'll
gotta make
definitely.
sure that you just try it, though.
No, I'll definitely keep that in mind. Next time I go, I'll definitely text you and I'll let you. I'll ask you like, hey, I'm here. Where do I need to go,
Yes.
man?
Let me
So
know where you're at in the city. I got you.
for sure. And yeah, it's just the culture is different. Even I realized coming because I went to Jacksonville, Atlanta, then New York. So Atlanta was the
Mhm.
connecting flight to New York, and I realized just like
Oh, okay.
very different TSA in New York, much more strict. I don't know how much you've flown other places, but very
Oh,
stricter
yeah.
than Jacksonville and Atlanta. So have you noticed that too?
1,000%. Yeah. I mean, especially like, even touring a lot, like whenever you fly into New York. Also, I'm living in LA these days. I've just been hanging out at my mom's house the past couple months with the COVID and
Yeah.
all that. Um, but yeah, I'd say like even more so than LAX, like another like big airport like JFK. It'll make you sweat seeing the scary looking guys and their dogs smelling everything and whatever, and I'd say it's more intense than a regular airport experience.
Yeah, man. The TSA in Atlanta, Jacksonville, they're all laughing. They're nice. Went to New York. Dude say, hey, empty out your pockets. I ain't about.
Right.
He said, it's something in there right now. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I thought we were cool here. Like, they're
Yeah.
very aggressive. And me and you, we're probably young or too young to remember this. But I would imagine after 9/11, they probably got super duper
Oh
strict, and
yeah.
it just turned up after that. So
I'm sure. I mean, probably especially in New York. I know generally in TSA stuff, but I can't even remember. I was probably four,
yeah.
I think, 9/11 happened, so I don't remember before and after, but I can only imagine that it definitely got stricter.
That's a fact. So you said you're in New York right now, but you're usually in LA because of the whole COVID thing, right?
Yep, I've been living in LA the past about a year and a half.
Mm. You like it out there?
It has its pros and cons. I'd say overall I like it. It's sunny, good place to hang out.
I do
Can't
want
complain about that.
I do want to talk about LA, but before I do that, last thing I remember about New York, much more strict on the mask. In Jacksonville,
Mm,
literally our mayor yesterday just said, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to wear a
really?
mask. And our cases are much more higher than New York's. And he's like, you don't have to wear a
Yeah.
mask. Funny thing, the most amazing law our mayor has just made was if you're working at, let's say, a restaurant, let's say McDonald's, right?
Sure.
You test positive for COVID. You have to quarantine for 14 days. After that 14th day, you can go back to work with no negative test. All you need is just a quarantine. You don't have to go back to get the negative test at all.
Wow.
Ridiculous, right? So
I don't know about that one. I don't know
so
about that one, Mr.
so,
Mayor.
so I realized that you guys are much more strict on this COVID thing than we are. Like they're literally just letting
Yeah.
people free with COVID down here. So shout out
Right.
to New York for being responsible while we're
Yeah,
just being irresponsible.
I know our Governor Cuomo is very adamant on the traveling laws and the quarantining when you come from a place like I think we have a list of states where like if you come in it's like a mandatory. I'm sure sorry to say I'm sure Florida is on the list. But yeah, I'm happy to see that it's not too bad out here.
Of course, I seen it on the train. I seen it on one of the buses. It was like, please wear your mask. In Jacksonville, if you wear a mask,
Oh yeah.
people look at you like, you have a mask on? Like it's like, ugh, disgusting. It's crazy. But yeah, man, it's very interesting hearing that you're from New York because just listen to your music. I would probably guess you are from LA. I don't know why, but you have like that very kind of when I think of LA, I kind of think of like relaxed. Even the rap music is much more relaxed,
Yeah.
or it's much more just calm, and that's how I think of your music. And I think I probably heard of you in 2018 when you dropped the album in
Oh well.
2018. And let me tell you why I really gave you a listen. I was looking through. I don't know how I found you exactly, but I was looking through the track list, and you had somebody featured who is probably my out of like 200 plus interviews that I've done over like my life. I probably the fifth person that I've ever interviewed was on your album. So I was like, Braxton Cook, that guy,
Who's this?
Braxton Cook,
My guy. I
Braxton
love
Cook.
Braxton Cook.
So I was
Wow, no
like,
shit.
I
That's
was,
crazy.
so I was like, Braxton is on here. All right, I like Braxton, you know. So I was like, let me give this a listen. And it's
Oh
probably the
yeah.
best decision I've done in a minute, man. You are definitely one of my favorite R&B singers, however you want to categorize what you do. Instrumentalist, like there's like 30 guitars behind you right now. I mean, you are a very talented, multi-talented from the instruments, from the singing, and yeah, man, you're super duper good.
Thank you,
So
man.
just want to give you your praise before we get knee deep into this interview, man. You're super good.
I really appreciate it, bro. Thank you very much for saying so.
So that album that I specifically landed on, um,
Mhm.
that was an album that was one of my favorite albums of 2018 because of just from the Roses song with Braxton Cook
Yeah.
to Under to just everything on there. I felt like it flowed. So I know Easy was like the song. Isn't that like one of your biggest songs, right? That was on the album before that, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That was on the 2017 album,
yeah,
Drive Slow.
yeah. So when I caught on, I had to go back and do my research. So me catching you in that middle album, where would you say you was in your career before you dropped that? Because I wasn't hip to you before that.
Before the 2018 album
2018.
you're talking about?
Yes.
I mean, when I put out my first record, I had just dropped out of college. I was going to Berkeley in Boston. I was a songwriting major over there, and I was, trying. I was just a kid that liked writing songs, and while I was over there, especially when I stopped going to class so much, I was posting a lot on SoundCloud, just to like for somebody in my family to see that and be like, okay, like he's working on something.
Yeah.
If he's not going to class, he's not just getting high and doing nothing all
Yeah.
day. So, I was posting songs like, just anything I would write, I would just post it on SoundCloud. And Easy was one of the songs that I put on SoundCloud one day, and I probably had like 500 followers that day that I posted, and I woke up and I had a couple thousand, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I just it motivated me to continue to like write tunes, and then eventually Drive Slow was just like a thing. I wouldn't say that like I actively tried to make a cohesive project, you know, but something to feel uh, was, I'd say, my first real experience like making an album. Like I knew that I had what it took to be a musician full time, and I knew that people liked this one particular song on Drive Slow very much. I mean, the other ones have a good amount of plays these days, but I think my second album was really it gave me the opportunity to show people that I was for real, I think.
I think the cool thing about it, because like I said, I caught you in the second album, but then I went back to listen to the first one after that, after I heard the second one, and now
Yep.
that you have the third one, the jukebox, literally
Yep.
you have progressed, and you went from being good to really good to like yo, like now you're on yo for me. You're on yo. That's all I
Thank you,
gotta say
man.
is yo, and I want to say that I think that's very interesting because some people could have, let's say, insert just random underground artist releases easy, and then he gets complacent with that. He just makes
Mhm.
easy 2.0, then he makes easy 3.0. He just keeps making it easy because he's trying to chase that high
Right.
again. But I feel like you have evolved and you have diversified your sound, and I want to say that people like me have realized that, and I feel like you have hit on each album, and your last album, in my opinion, is your best album so far, and that's a lot because I thought the second one was, hey, I thought the second one, I was like, he's peaked, he can't top this right here, and then you come with this one, and it's like, yo, and it's more songs, so I felt that was even more
Yep.
riskier because I'm like, whoa, okay, it's a longer album, maybe he has more chances to miss. You
Yep.
proved me wrong. You proved me wrong, man. Amazing stuff, bro.
Thank you. No,
Amazing stuff.
that means a lot to me. I never want to be complacent as a songwriter, because I think that really is like, before anything else, I would call myself a songwriter. So I care a lot about the tunes and the projects as a whole, and it really means a lot for you to say that, because I think Juicebox is my best album too.
Of course, have people complimented you on the evolution? Because I feel like I can tell that you have. I can tell that you tell. I can tell that you can tell that you have like gotten better. Like I could tell that you tell like that you've progressed as an artist. Like have people noticed that? Or have people been bringing up to you, or is that something that people kind of skip
Yeah,
over?
I'd say there are many types of fans, and there's people that know my bigger songs, just like kind of like a entry level
Yeah.
uh, fan, if you will. But like people that have been listening for as long as you have, and even longer, or maybe not as long, if they've seen my discography and they know, I don't. I think yes, that people can see that I care a lot about the songs, and that I don't want to just make, like you said, easy 2.0, 3.0. Because I'm super competitive. I like proving people wrong. I like when people say things like, well, Drive Slow was the best album, because then that makes me want to just make
Yeah.
five better albums than Drive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say if you're a real fan, then you've seen the progression for sure.
Interesting thing about you is not only have I noticed a progression in your music, I've noticed that from each album you've gotten more soulful. It feels like each, it's like you went from like, I don't know, some just like underground artist to like fucking Bobby Womack or something. You're just like you're just like unleashing all the soulness as you keep progressing. Now I don't know if that's something that you have like been like unconsciously or consciously doing, but I'm very curious. Like, is that something that you've been focusing on, or is that just naturally came out?
I would say it's probably a little bit of both. I
Hmm.
mean, I think all artists are subconsciously influenced by anything that you're listening to. And I mean, there's just a lot of soul music in my playlists.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder has been my biggest musical influence since I was in middle school.
Mm.
So, yeah, but I think also, as just like I've been saying, like, I feel like Drive Slow was really my first real attempt at like writing music that would appeal to other people. rather than just maybe like satisfy my like the music dork that lives within me. I was trying to make music that other people would enjoy too. But yeah, I mean, just with like the characteristics of soul music are just like instrumentation, like just maybe my production has gotten better. Yeah, I'd say a lot of factors contributed to the more
Of course.
soulfulness for project to project. You know.
And it's funny you bring up Stevie Wonder because you said you've been in LA for a little minute. Have you? Are you
Yeah.
familiar with the Comedy Store?
Say again?
Are you familiar with the Comedy Store?
No.
The Comedy Store is basically like it's like a comedy like where comedians go to do their sets or whatever. You go, you
Oh,
watch
okay.
comedians do their sets or whatnot. So there's this documentary on Showtime, and they're just basically documenting the history of the Comedy Store. And I forget who it was, but somebody was telling a story about Richard Pryor, and it was a very like emotional story of him just having
Mm.
this crazy set. And as they were telling that story, they were playing Stevie Wonder's "Ribbon in the Sky," and the story was so emotional. And that song, not gonna hold you, bro. Tears started
Oh
falling,
yeah.
man. The
Of
tears
course.
started falling, man.
That's a classic.
Bro, that song is so good, man.
Oh
Goodness
yeah.
gracious, man. I just had to bring it up because I
He's
want to like, I want to give Stevie his flowers because I don't want it to be too
yes.
late to be like, oh, we need to give him his
Exactly.
flowers while he's here. And that song, that's a 12 out of 10 song. Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
He's got so many of those that like once I mean I could talk about Stevie for a week straight and the amount of bangers that that man has. Yeah, he's done a lot for me musically, I'd say.
Is there one song that really sticks out for you as like the Stevie song for you?
Um, yeah, I think. I mean, if I were to introduce somebody to Stevie, like and like you had to play a song
Yeah.
that like they would feel some type of way about, I would probably play Golden Lady off of
Mm.
Intervisions.
Mm.
I love Intervisions. That was probably the Stevie album that fascinated me the most throughout my life. But I mean, there's so many good choices that I wouldn't be mad at almost any song that somebody would play to get somebody to become a Stevie fan. You know?
You ever feel like there's certain people that are still alive from that time period, and we kind of just like glance over them because we're just so used to them being great, and then until like they pass away, unfortunately, then we're like, oh, they were so
Oh yeah,
great. But it's like, yo, we still have like living legends from that
yeah,
era that we just don't talk about until they pass. Like that's so.
right.
I hate that. I
No,
hate that,
it's
man.
sad. To say. I mean, it happens. And so I mean, it just like to think of recent. Like I think Bill Withers falls into that category.
Yeah.
People, that man had a lot of really good tunes and did a lot for that genre of music. And I mean, Prince is another good example that he was. I feel like not many people gave him a proper time of day until he might have passed. But it's sad that it really that is true that it happens a lot.
You ever think about this? Because, like I said, you have this soulful music, and you can bring up somebody like Prince. It's so crazy, like, even just non soul music. We can go to, like, alternative rock music, like back in the 60s, or psychedelic rock music. I listen to some of those songs, and I'm like, the fact that some of these songs were mainstream is really crazy. Because when you think about the
Yeah.
mainstream songs that we have today compared to, like, the
Hmm.
mainstream songs, like, during the Vietnam War era
Right.
of the it's so like I feel like they were taking like musical like risk. Like how many times you see the mainstream artists of today take these like outrageous musical risk? I don't see it that often. So I don't know if you ever think about that, but I think about that a
Yeah.
lot.
No, I think about it a lot, and it's one of the things that is so fascinating about Stevie to me is that like these were not like popular R&B songs
Hmm.
or pop soul songs. Like these were mainstream, like top 10, top 50 records,
Yeah.
like consistently all throughout the 70s and even into the early 80s. And I am, I mean, to think that a popular song can have that much musical integrity is super fascinating to me. I think about that shit a lot.
And it's crazy because I have this conversation a lot, and I feel like you would be a good person to have this conversation with, because you make the music that you make. You have musical integrity. Like I would say that from the instrument to the voice to I feel like you're particular about the music that you put out and what's going to make the album, what's not going to make the album. And I'm very curious on why do you think that transition happened where musical integrity kind of took a back seat? Like Like, when do you think that happened, and why do you think that happened?
Um, I don't know if I can point to like a defining moment as to when it changed because I don't, I just don't know.
Yeah.
But as to why, I could probably think of a few reasons.
Okay.
Um, I think our industry is very motivated by money.
Mm.
Um, and also with the computer age of musicians and producers, it's the you know our technology has advanced so much where in a lot of ways it's very helpful to actual producers and like musicians, and with like Logic and all the new DAWs that come out and the programs that people can make tunes in. On one end, it's become easier and more streamlined for like your working process, and on the other end, it's become so easy that you can just like make a beat in like 4.5 seconds, and it would sound like radio ready,
Yeah.
if you will. So the combo of like being motivated by money and like, oh, I could bang out this beat in like 2 minutes. That's just like a check every 2 minutes, And I think it's a lot easier to do that than to sit back and to really think about how you want to be, I don't know, maybe remembered, how you want to be perceived in the musician community. I think it's just not something that people think about very much these days.
Well, somebody like you who's in the music industry, would you say that it's hard, or would you say it's easy to fall into that? Like, well, I mean, this is gonna make me money. Like, I'm pretty sure you probably had chances to do some like, some like. Have you? Is it easy to make that decision?
Um, I would imagine it's easier for others to make that decision
Hmm.
because a check is a check.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can't, and I'm not in any way slandering
Of
the
course.
people that decide to do this because hey, if you got money, what am I going to tell you?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. What was the original question
It
you
was
just asked?
basically like, do you think it's like easy to fall into that? Like have
Oh yeah,
like through your experience, have you seen it like have you almost have like, whoa, like I could have just easily went down a whole different lane than I am
yeah.
now.
No, definitely, and I think that major labels make very enticing offers, and if
Yeah.
you're a young up and coming artist and they hand you a sum of money that you've never seen that amount in your life,
Yeah.
it's very easy, I'm sure, to just fall into that and say, I don't necessarily care about owning my masters or my musical integrity or whatever. Like, I'll just cash out because people are trying to hear my songs. Um, yeah, I would say it's totally easy. Anything that involves money, I'd say it's easy to fall into that.
Man, I really, because I would love to see you type of like, to break that mold, to break that mold where you don't have to risk your integrity. Because I look at somebody like Kendrick Lamar is probably one of the biggest artists in the world, and he's kept the integrity doing weird
Yes,
stuff on his albums where it's like, yo, you're like one of the biggest rappers, you're doing
right.
this weird stuff. So
That's a
I,
great example.
and I would love to see you kind of be that in the genre that you're in, where you're still playing your instruments, you're still doing the soulful, and you're not,
Yeah,
you're not doing something that's not you. That's what I feel like
right.
at the end of at the end of the day, if it's not you, you probably shouldn't do it. There's nothing wrong with trying something new, but if this totally
Yeah,
against what you're like believing in, that's where you're kind of falling to weird
right.
waters at. So, hey,
Absolutely. And
I
Kendrick is, I mean, on top of that, not to interrupt you, but
no, you're good, you're good.
Kendrick's a great example because, I mean, he's just, with the whole Top Dog stuff and like how he is only rocking with artists that he actually likes. I respect that so much. And I mean, he's doing it the right way. And his music is, I mean, you could tell that he cares about shit like that too.
Of course, like I need to hear "Shadows" on the radio by you. Like that song, hey man, that's it gives the chef's kiss, man. That's an amazing song. It's so soulful, but it's still a
Thanks, man.
song that I feel like a lot. It's accessible. It's not like it's so just like hard on the ear. It's like, whoa, I need to sit down, and it's a very
Yeah,
accessible song. So I feel like you do great. I feel like you do a really good job of making accessible music, but still keeping your integrity. So Shadows, if you
thanks,
have like
man.
of course, if you have a story about Shadows or how that was made, I would love to hear because I feel like that's a very, very, very great song.
Yeah. I mean, when we were making Juicebox, I wrote a lot of the record with my friend and drummer in my band, Chris Anderson. And yeah, we wrote a lot of it in this room. Actually, this is the basement of my mom's house in New York. And for Shadows, I mean, in at the time that I was writing a lot of these tunes, I had just fired my old manager and left the label that I was putting out music with. And I was just in a real, like, talking shit kind of mood, I guess. And I think that Shadows is just that. Like, it's just me. I don't know. It was almost like a therapy session writing Shadows. And the line in the hook, I feel like that there's that part that's like, swear the next time I see, like, I was really like like angry about this situation, and I was like actively wishing not happy things toward this man. But that song just reminds me, like, when it hits the hook and you're just like, yeah, it's just like a happy little tell him I've been on my way. No, I love that song so much, and I had a great time writing that one, and pretty much every tune on Juicebox was just me. I think traditionally I was writing a lot more like lovey-dovey type stuff in the first two projects, and this was really just an album about growth and moving on as a person, you know?
Something I find really funny when I usually tell artists like my favorite songs, it's usually always coming from like an honest place. Like all of my favorite songs, when I ask about it, is coming from an honest place. So to hear that comes from an honest place is very interesting to me. Like, do you find some of your favorite songs or people's favorite songs are the songs that came from an honest place, or their favorite songs are songs you just wrote about, like just like little fun love songs?
I'd say it's a good mix of both. Like, there are definitely, there are some songs of mine that are like more popular than songs that I thought were more honest.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting to me what the fans decide are going to be your popular songs, because if I've learned anything in making 3 albums, that you don't get to pick what the you could pick the singles, but beyond that, I mean, the people are going to pick what they like, and it is not up to the artist.
If you had to pick like 1 or 2 songs that you just knew was going to be the one, you was like, this is going to be the one that people just love, and that was not it apparently. If you had to pick 1 or 2 songs out of these 3 albums, which songs would those be?
The one that I thought that wound up not getting there, you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, the one that sticks out to me is off of Juicebox. I thought the song with DJ Harrison, Where Do We Go From Here?
Fire song.
Thank you. DJ Harrison is a musician, producer from Richmond, Virginia, and has been one of my biggest influences for years now. And he sent me the instrumental to that. Like, I'm just singing on that. I'm not playing anything. And when I heard the instrumental, I was like, oh my God, like, this is going to be insane. I just have to sing something over this for this to be cool. And I thought that people would gravitate towards, I think that was maybe my like Voodoo D'Angelo impersonation. And I thought that would make more people gravitate toward it, at least. But
interesting.
That's still a great song. I'm not mad about it.
It's a great song, and that's a great inspiration. I mean, Voodoo is like one of my favorite R&B albums of all time. So I mean,
absolutely. I'd say it's a top 3 album in music.
Of course. That's one of those albums where it's like he didn't, going back to what we were saying, a person that you could tell the integrity was intact throughout the whole album, and just one of the songs from the album just happened to blow up. Which one was it? One where he's naked. What's
yeah? How do you feel?
How do you feel? Like that's a classic song. So I mean, it shows that you can break that mold. It's just great music. Great music is going to resonate either hero. Like it mean it doesn't matter if you're making great music, it's going to
It's
resonate
always
with
going to
people.
cut through.
Yeah,
That's
for
a
sure,
fact.
for sure. But yeah, no. Where do we go from here is one of those songs where now that you say something about D'Angelo, I definitely hear it. Like I didn't hear it, but now that you bring it up, I could definitely hear that, and that's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
And I feel like you do a good job with kind of hitting that falsetto and then going down like when do we know we gonna friend
Yeah.
you have a very good I feel like controlling of your voice. Was that something that you've always had all
Thank
your
you.
life, or did you have to go to vocal classes for that, or
Um, I mean, I've been singing since I was forever.
yeah.
When I was a baby, I was singing Sesame Street and stuff like that. But I think just throughout the years of singing a lot, it's a lot of practice. So eventually you get to a place where you feel like you're pretty good, and I think I'm there. I'd say, there's been practice, and I was a lot of choir. I was in a lot of choirs when I was growing up, and that helped me with things like, blending, and like it's contributed to a lot of my background vocals on like my production and stuff like that. Yeah, I've had 24 years of practice. That's my only
Well,
that's
nah,
my
man.
only advice to other singers.
Nah, man, you have a great voice, and I have
Thank
to
you.
give you super duper praise on knowing how to play the guitar because I grew up thinking I was going to be some multi instrumentalist. I could play a couple instruments, can't play the guitar. I tried. I went to multiple I went to multiple lessons. I don't
Yeah,
get it, man. I don't get how you
it's
guys do it,
tough.
man. It's
It,
tough.
it it's a tough instrument. It's definitely I picked it up when I was like 16. I was trying to be John Mayer really bad. Uh, so then I think I just learned through that. But I would always say that I'm a keys player first. Just that's my first instrument. Um, yeah, guitar is hard though. You're right. That shit is confusing.
Man, playing the keys way much easier than playing the guitar. I'm not gonna lie, man.
Oh yeah,
Very much easier, man.
the keys are the visual. It's just like note, 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 note on guitar. Where does it? Where does the first string stop and the next one start? Like, yeah, it's very
It's a
confusing.
lot to remember. It's like, hey, get in the third fret. No, you're in the fourth fret. No, you're just like, bro, I don't care
Right.
anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore, bro. I'm good. I'm done. But yeah, and like I said, I feel like you're just keep progressing, progressing. I heard a video on your Instagram a couple of days ago where like a guy had a TikTok video. He was like, hey, this is just for Mac, and you were singing.
Yeah.
I was like, even the live voice is beautiful. It's great
Oh,
stuff,
thank you,
man.
bro.
Great stuff. I've never had a chance to see you live. But one of these days, I hope you come to Florida. I don't know if you've been to Florida to perform yet, but
Yeah, we played in Miami on the
mm,
last tour.
interesting. When was that? Was that last year?
That was November of last year.
November of last year. Next time you're in Florida, definitely let me know because I would love to
Oh yeah, no,
get the
I'll definitely
experience.
hit you. I got you.
For sure, for sure. Is there anything
Hmm.
coming next down the pipeline? I know the virus may have slowed things up a little bit, so I don't know if you're working on anything specifically right now, but if so, let us know.
Oh yeah, I mean, just writing a lot of tunes. I'm a kid that likes to write music, so there's always new stuff on the way. I'd say, you know, don't expect anything too soon, but
Okay.
I'm always working. That's all I'll say.
Wait, man, if there's anything else you have to say before we get out of here, I appreciate you stopping through. If there's anything else you have to say, please let it be known.
No, just thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure talking to you. And I hope to meet you someday if we get back to playing shows sometime soon.
Oh, hey, it's crazy, man. It's like New York doing a great job. I don't know when Florida is going to be safe again, man. They say well, they say make America great again. I think they need to make Florida safe again. I don't think that it's ever going to be safe.
That's the new slogan.
Yeah, make Florida
Uh,
safe again because I mean, goodness gracious, he literally said yesterday, "Hey, no more masks. You need to wear it anymore." It's like, all right, man. So
oh my God!
it's
If you're from
crazy.
Florida and you're watching, this is the thing that I'll say. If you're from Florida and watching this, wear a mask. If you're from
Please.
anywhere and watching this, just wear a fucking mask, man. Just do it.
Hey man, and on that note, for everybody watching, I appreciate you guys. Until next time, I say what I mean what I say. Haters are gonna hate, players are gonna play, and you guys holler at your boy.